Well, good afternoon, viewers. Today we have a 2009 Chevy Silverado. The warning lights are on because I've got the mass airflow sensor unplugged because I've got the air induction system off. The AC is not working in this thing. We just got finished winter. Now, the light lights up on here, but the compressor is not engaging. I've got the refrigerant machine hooked up to the AC system, and it isn't full, but it isn't empty either. You got static pressure of about 45 psi here, and 42 on the low side. So there should be enough refrigerant in it for it to engage the compressor, but you can see the compressor clutch is not spinning. The relay is not being energized. Let's have a look at some engine data. So I've got a custom data list here. You can see the AC pressure sensor voltage is 0.6 and the high side pressure is 45 psi, 44.6, so that's what concurs with the gauges. The AC relay is commanded off and the AC request is no. Coolant temperature is normal, not disabled because of wide open throttle. Maybe it's disabled because of the pressure being a little bit on the low side. I'm going to try recharging it. So I'm going to recover what's in there just to see how low it is. It's pretty low. We're almost down to 0 psi and we barely recovered 1.1 kilogram. But normally with the older systems, 45 psi of static pressure would have been enough to make the compressor engage, but then it would have disengaged. But possibly the criteria is a little higher on these newer vehicles, because theoretically 45 psi is roughly 44 degrees Fahrenheit, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and you certainly don't need AC in that coolness. It has a coolant leak from the water pump gasket going into the block, but I want to confirm that the AC problem is not with the compressor, because I think I did something with this last fall or last summer, and we might have done this already, but I can't find any record on it. So I got 0.15 kilograms out of it. I'm going to charge it to 0.7. Then we're going to have to check it for a leak. Start. Oh boy, I got to put refrigerant in my tank. Okay, so we're going to try this again. I added refrigerant to my tank. And then we're going to start it and run it and see if it cools. Well, it hasn't fully charged yet. It wants me to start the vehicle, but the compressor is not engaging. Well, it's charged. I gotta open the high side service port fitting, but the compressor's not running. As you can see, we got static pressure 65 tons. So now we can see that static pressure in the high side is 77 psi, but the AC is not being commanded on. And yet this request signal here should say yes. That comes from the control head, and the light is lighting up. I'm going to go in the cabin and press the button. Off. On. And it's not changing state. Let's have a look in the HVAC system itself and see if there's data in there. I could bypass the relay and make sure that the AC actually works. HVAC, this manual AC, display codes, current, no codes. I didn't see any codes when I did a network scan here before, but sometimes it misses it. Let's look at data. HVAC system, AC permissions. AC request, yes. AC permission withheld. Why is it withheld? Head pressure normal, battery voltage normal, coolant temperature normal, engine running, yes, blower speed normal. But why does it say withheld? That doesn't make sense. AC permission withheld. AC switch inactive, panel inactive, recirculation inactive. Let's look in here. AC permission withheld. AC request, yes. Low pressure switch open. Ah, why is the low pressure switch open? So the low pressure switch is right here on the control head. Oh, look at that. I'm moving the wires. Well, the compressor certainly doesn't sound too healthy. So it needs a pressure switch or the wiring repaired, one or the other. Let's bypass this switch. I hear that compressor is pretty knocky. Well, I'm going to bypass the switch. So the compressor is working, but it's knocking like crazy. And those terminals on that pressure switch are compromised. Somebody must have shoved something in there before to bypass it. It's working, but it's noisy. So this thing's going to get a compressor. So now you can see with the pressure switch closed right here, AC permission is granted. Now why wouldn't that, well, I guess it would normally go open if the AC system is cold enough. So I guess that wouldn't set a code. Go figure. So this is why I wanted to confirm the AC problem before I took the water pump off. You can see the water pump gaskets to the block here have failed. Now this thing's got 240,000 kilometers on it, so we're going to put a water pump assembly on it. But it's much easier to access that AC compressor now with the water pump out of the way. So going to see whether you're going to put a new reman compressor on or a used one. Given the vintage of the truck, I think a previously enjoyed one might be beneficial. So we've obtained a previously enjoyed compressor, and I've got a new orifice tube. We're going to take the orifice out and look at it. It's much easier to remove that compressor now with the coolant lines out of the way. As you can see, there's a lot of room now, or a lot more room. And we're going to put the remove the original compressor and drain it and see if there's any metal filings in it. And where the orifice tube is. I think the orifice is up here, in here. And we're going to have a look at that orifice and see if there's any contamination or debris in it. So I fabricated this 90-degree hook to pull that orifice tube out. And we're going to take a look at it and see if there's any debris on it. Ooh, that's nasty. Let's take a look at a new one. Well, this doesn't look... It's funny, this doesn't look like it's got debris on it. It looks like it's a filter of some kind, because it's not loose. But that's the replacement one. Nothing comes off of this. This is not particles of dirt, unless this is constructed differently. Well, we're going to put this new orifice in and put it back together and put the compressor on. Worst case scenario is it fails. It's a used compressor, so it's not the end of the world. So there's the compressor remounted and electrical connectors plugged in. I changed the O-rings on the orifice tube fitting and the two pipes. I can't give you the numbers because I have a universal kit. I put 1.5 ounces of PAG oil in the compressor. I tried draining the old compressor and nothing came out. So we're going to go with that. As soon as I hook this line up, I'm going to start evacuating while I reassemble here. So I don't know how well this is going to show up, but I'm going to try and put the belt on. And I use a zip tie to tie the belt on to the pulley. If you're reusing the original belt, try to maintain the original direction it was spinning. And you shouldn't turn the engine backwards. Yeah, it's on. Uncut the tie wrap. And as I said, I'm evacuating while I'm working on it, because it's got to evacuate for a minimum of half an hour. I'm going to let it run until I'm ready to recharge it, which is putting the water pump on. I've cleaned the gasket surfaces here. When I put a new thermostat on the new water pump. Yeah, that's on. Yeah. So stretch belts are kind of a pain in the ass, but eliminates the tensioner and the tensioner failures we used to have. So I'm prepping the water pump to install, clean the threads of the bolts, and I put Teflon pipe thread sealant on the bolt threads, because a couple of them go into the coolant passages, so sometimes the coolant will leak down the threads. And the gasket should stay on there if we carefully lower it straight. So I think the problem with these is the terminals are spread, because when I put this test terminal in here, there's no pin grip whatsoever. So somebody's jammed a paper clip or something in there and compromised those two terminals. I know it wasn't me, because I have the proper tools. So I'm going to try reshaping those terminals. So I managed to reshape those two pins in there, the terminals in that connector, and now I'm charging it. It held vacuum, so it evacuated for 45 minutes, so it should be good. Well, now we got to deal with the piston knock. The compressor is quiet now. Watch when it engages. So it's quiet. No more knocking from the compressor. That's a piston knock. Pressures seem normal. We're going to evaluate it, check it for leaks, but I'm sure this is going to be fine now. fill up the cooling system, top it up. Well, there it is, back together and running. I can't find any leaks. I checked around the fittings. I did put dye in it, so if it goes low, we'll be able to see with the tracer light. Wiggle that connection and it no longer cuts out, so I'm sure we're okay with the switch. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.